Welcome back to another video, and as you can see, I had to go back to back on this one because I felt like there was some information that I had to go into a little bit more detail on. So here's part 2 of the high mileage 2016 Nissan Rogue. So one of the biggest things I noticed when I was looking over the invoice so I can gather more information is there's a couple of things that I could have done myself and saved a nice amount of money. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about in more detail the things that I already got done and how it could have been something that was easily performed by me myself and how much I could have saved. So the first thing is the engine air filter. Now, in case you're not familiar with what the engine air filter is, it's basically a filter that prevents dust, dirt, and any other environmental contaminants from getting into the engine area. So it's definitely a simple yet vital part to protecting your engine. And a couple of drawbacks to having a dirty air filter is you'll lose out on acceleration and also your MPG. Changing an engine air filter is probably about a 5 to 10 minute job, even for like the novice of novices. And so what I did was, in the description, I left a link where you can watch a video of basically how easy it is to change an engine air filter. And on the note of how easy it is, I want to talk about how much I paid at the dealership and why I felt like that was, somewhat of a disappointment, realizing that it's something I could have done myself. So the dealership charged me $30 to replace the filter. Now, a standard filter ranges around $10 to $20. So looking at the fact that I could have done it myself, I could have saved $10 to $20 on replacing this engine air filter and just kept on going from that point on. Now, another service I had taken care of at the dealership was replacing the cabin air filter. And basically, as the name suggests, it keeps the air within the cabin fresh and clean. And it does that by basically acting as a line of defense, preventing dust, moisture, and even bugs from circulating through the vents and into the cabin. So it's safe to say this is another one of those simple yet important items that you should replace as recommended. Now, after watching the how-to video on this one, I can definitely say this is another replacement item that you can do yourself, and I left a link in the description for this one as well, so you can see just how easy it is. A little bit harder than the first, but still something you can do yourself, and again, another 5 to 10 minute job. And this one I actually lost a little bit more money on it because the dealership charged me $65. And again, the average cost of this filter is around $10 to $20. So basically I lost $45 to $55 on this one. So just between the two filters, I lost somewhere between $55 to $75 because I allowed the dealership to do it before I did the research just to see how easy of a job it was for me to do myself. And it's really crazy because I've done filters before, but I just didn't even think twice, didn't even think once to look it up and see if there was any level of complication for replacing either of these two filters. Now, the next service that I'll definitely be getting done at the dealership is the coolant flush or radiator flush, depending on what terminology they use. And this one was quoted at $230 for the service. Now, my last video, it actually sounded like I was debating whether or not this service was important. And I'll tell you now, I knew it was important. And I don't know what I was thinking when I actually spoke on it like that, because the coolant flush is actually something that helps prevent overheating in a vehicle. And one thing is when your vehicle overheats, major damage can be done. So it's definitely something important. And I can say I've had my share of vehicles in the past that have overheated, and it wasn't fun. So yes, if you need to get a radiator flush, don't think twice, because you'll regret it if you don't do it and the overheating actually occurs. Now, the way a radiator flush works is basically it helps remove the rust, the scale deposits, and any other buildup that can get clogged in and lead to that overheating. And it also gets rid of that old antifreeze that can become acidic if it stays within the vehicle. Now, I also left a video link in the description for this one, and it's a very popular YouTuber that you may already be familiar with if you're a car person. Chris Fix shows how you can do the radiator flush on your own. And it's something that definitely seems to be pretty simple. I probably won't be trying it on this 2016 vehicle, more than likely on my 03 Monte Carlo or the '04 Durango, I'll give it a shot. But it's definitely something that, it's worth looking at, because if you have some sense of handy hands and you want to give it a go, you can definitely save yourself some money by doing it yourself. And it definitely doesn't look hard, but I just don't want to risk messing up something on this newer vehicle. And of course, with it being newer, the price to actually get it fixed if I screw it up would be a lot higher than on one of the older vehicles. Now, aside from the brakes and wiper blades, the other service that I mentioned that was on the invoice was the all-wheel drive service. And I'm still looking into seeing just what that all-wheel drive service consists of. So I'll have to go ahead and give an update in a future video, because that I'm still not so sure what exactly it does, but more than likely I'll be getting it done, because better safe than sorry. Now, a key service that wasn't mentioned, wasn't on the invoice, and I know it was something that was definitely asked about, and it's something that's always talked about when it comes to Nissan vehicles, is the CVT flush, which is basically, clearing out the transmission. And the thing with the CVT, which stands for continuously variable transmission, is if you don't take care of it, it can definitely be big problems, and problems that won't be cheap. So I called to get a quote on that, since it wasn't on an invoice, and I was quoted at $269.95 for that. So along with tires, the CVT flush is definitely what's next on my list of to-do things for this high mileage 2016 Nissan Rogue. Now, even though I'm not sure the last time this service was performed, I know myself personally 40,000 miles was added to this vehicle since purchase. So the safer bet is to go ahead and get it done. And that's why, just for the sake of it, the sake of safety, I'm going ahead and I'm going to, cash out $269.95 and get that service done and make sure I keep the records. So ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up part 2 of this high mileage 2016 update. And the moral to this video is basically to say that after doing the research and looking at the invoice, there were some things that could have been done, in this case myself. So it's like, it's great for you to go ahead when you get quoted for the repairs that's needed. Definitely take a moment before you just say yes to everything. Get the information, do some research, and see if there's anything that you can do yourself, or even if you feel like you would prefer for it to be done at the dealership, try and see about some form of a discount if you know that you're just being quoted too high. Because at the end of the day, one thing I can say is, like with the brakes, when I was hesitant on letting the dealership do it, they did offer somewhat of a discount, not enough for me to do it, and I'm glad I didn't. But basically the point is, if you're hesitant, sometimes they'll go ahead and offer a discount even if you don't ask. So like I said, that's basically it for this video. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next vehicle. Peace.